Hello there. Hello, 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 and welcome everybody. My name is DC Marshall, CEO at Diverse and Engage, and I'm so excited about this, the first annual Sisters Inc. Summit. A round of applause virtually for what is happening with Black women business owners and how it is that this platform really amplifies and supports Black women business owners. I am excited to be facilitating this conversation for this session, and I think we're going to learn a lot about where we are in terms of breaking the revenue cycle. So everybody out loud, wherever you are, hashtag breaking the revenue cycle. That is what we are talking about for this session. And so our guest today, I'm going to jump right in, ladies. And, it's the pink elephant in the room, right? The obvious in terms of where we are. I'd love for you to introduce yourself and share where you are and how you are, how you've managed through the pandemic. The pandemic is the elephant in the room. So Sassy, we're going to go with you. Introduce yourself and share, and then we're going to come over to you, Pinky.
Awesome. Hi, everyone tuning in. I'm Charis Jones. I'm the CEO of Sassy Jones, and we are where the unicorns come to shop and play for fashion and beauty, simply put. This was one hell, pardon the French, pardonnez-moi, one hell of a pandemic. So everyone knows that, last year we were battling in all businesses, especially e-commerce, whether you're essential, whether you're not essential, right? And the biggest struggle for me was essentially leading through a crisis because there's no handbook for this. So, you get the people to work, but then how do you keep them motivated, right? To stay and unafraid and keep the anxiety down. And then you're worrying about, okay, well, accessories at the time, that's what we were offering, accessories and beauty. That's not essential. Are we going to be able to make it, And then just keeping my morale together so that I can continue to pour into my staff. And it turns out that we thrived during the pandemic, revenue wise, we grew, broke all barriers, found ourselves on number 24 on the Inc. 5000 list, the fastest growing retail company in the nation. And all of that is great and dandy and wildflowers and all of the things. However, coming out of the pandemic has been more difficult for me as a CEO versus being in the pandemic. So for me, that's where I stand on it.
Well, first of all, congratulations, because we know so many businesses did not make it through the pandemic. So it is so awesome to see that, you were able to not only survive in the pandemic, but to thrive. So round of applause for making the list. I'm going to come over to you, Pinky, if you could introduce yourself to the folks and then share, how have you fared through the pandemic?
Hi, everybody. My name is Pinky. I am the founder, CEO, and all of the above for the world famous plant-based joint called Slutty Vegan ATL. Now, if you haven't heard about Slutty Vegan, then obviously you've probably been living under a rock. But when we talk about the pandemic, I really had the best year of my professional life. And in the beginning, I used to feel selfish about it, saying it because a lot of other businesses had to close their doors and some had a lot of pitfalls during that time. But I used the pandemic as an opportunity to get tightened on my systems, to learn more about my processes and procedures and to streamline my organization. And it really, really, really worked for me. We've increased our business tenfold. I've opened up 3 locations in the middle of a pandemic. We became more socially responsible as a business because in the wake of George Floyd and the wake of Rashad Brooks and everything that was happening in our economy and the pandemic itself, what it showed us is that we are just more than burgers, fries, and pies. So when you talk about the challenges here, we had to realize, how do we merge commerce with being a voice in the community? And that is not very easy because everybody doesn't agree with your voice. So you have to create a voice for yourself that people can not only respect, but they understand, especially how you maneuver in the restaurant industry. But I'm proud of what we've done. I'm proud of the growth that we've had, and allowing ourselves to take a step back and really identify areas of opportunity through the pandemic really is the reason why Slutty Vegan has continued to become popular and a household name. And as we look ahead to the future, I know that the pandemic was really just the jump starter for us to really lock in and get ready for Q1 through 4 of next year. So I'm thankful for everything that happened. Unfortunately, everybody doesn't have the same testimony, but I use my platform and my resources to be able to help other local business owners who didn't have as much success as I have. And I did that through my foundation, the Pinky Cole Foundation.
Amazing. And congratulations to you as well in terms of expanding. So, and you know, it's so good to hear. And I really appreciate, Pinky, you being sensitive to so many businesses did not make it. We know that 41% of Black-owned businesses did not make it through the pandemic. We know that something like 20 to 21% of women-owned businesses did not make it. And so I too am super sensitive. Diverse and Engaged, we had a significant growth you know, in the company as a result of the diversity tipping point, which was the period beginning May of 2020. So, so this is great. I want to move into, you know, breaking the revenue cycle, or the ceiling, I should say, because that's what we're really here to talk about. Of how it is that Black-owned businesses, Black women, are the largest and the fastest segment of entrepreneurs in the country. However, you know, Black women-owned businesses don't do as well in terms of revenue, in terms of actually it's revenue and employer-owned firms. So really want to talk about growth and scaling and the challenges. So ladies, why do you think, you know, what do you think the challenges are? And I say this knowing that there are tons of reports and tons of studies. American Express Open does the state of women-owned business, you know, women-owned businesses. Goldman just did a significant study for Black women. But I think it's always great when we can share and shape our own narrative. So let's talk about growth and scaling. Charis, do you want to go? Even though, you know, I really want to call you Sassy, like the brand is so sassy. No, you.
The world calls me Sassy, and I
okay, good.
Answer. Yeah, I'm so used to it. It's fine. Yeah, here's the thing with Black women. Here's the advantage that we have. We're used to taking care of the world from the beginning of time. So entrepreneurship just feels like the natural next inclination for us. And so I think that's why we sort of step into it. We're very autonomous. We like to call the shots, and, you know, it works well for us. But I think that the challenge for me and a lot of my friend groups is consistency and also capital, right? And so we don't always get the respect that we're looking for in the industry, you know, and then we don't get the wins that we're looking for. And a lot of us give up very easily, you know, and I hate to see it, you know, going back to work, and that's okay. You know, just get the side hustle together. The biggest thing that has affected me and still affects me to this day is the capital, you know? And so we're not the ones that saying, oh, I have an idea. I have a tampon. Will you invest in my company? And then we just get thousands and millions of dollars. It doesn't organically and easily happen that way for us. And so we're finding ourselves grassroots, you know, getting money from family, taking unfiltered loans like through Shopify and PayPal to be able to like keep the business going. Sassy Jones, to this day, I sold a car to start this brand and flipped it into multi-millions of dollars in just 3 to 5 years, right? We are still unfunded to this day. We are a cash run business, which is crazy in 2020 going into 2021, 2022. But, you know, it can be done. I'm an example that you don't have to give away a portion of the business. You don't have to sell equity in order for it to be done. If you're okay with growing slow, like low and slow, and not, you know, shooting off to the stars and trying to sell it depending on what your angle is. If you're okay with that, you know, it can be done. So my advice to all budding entrepreneurs, you know, especially Black women that are facing these challenges is just like, be okay with where you are. You know, be okay with the small wins, the big wins, and share it. And I think that's another thing for us too, just being willing to share so that other women can come behind us, kick the doors down, and we can all experience success together.
That is so powerful. And I think, you know, you saying that we have to share, it's part of this platform and part of this discussion for people to really hear what it took for you to break through is so powerful. And right, you said it, one of the things or one of the reasons why it's lack of capital. But what I do know is that 61% of our businesses Black women-owned businesses are self-funded. So Pinky, what do you say is the challenge that you think we have with growing and breaking through the revenue ceiling?
So I want to take a different approach to this. So for decades, obviously, we know that there has been an issue with Black women getting funding, right? But in the last 2 years, I think that there has been a distinct shift. And I'm telling you because I'm a witness and I walked in it, right? And I got to keep talking about the whole George Floyd situation, because what happened is it really opened up Pandora's box for corporate companies to want to be able to support small-owned, Black-owned, woman-owned businesses. So when people ask me, like, is it hard for Black women to get money? This is the easiest time in America right now to get money. And my advice is this: if you build it, they're going to come. I'm just like you, Sassy. Like, I didn't have to get money. It was more of a relationship play for me, right? And I still own 100% of my company. Will that change in the next couple of weeks? Yeah, but I'm scaling. And I'm such a big dreamer that 1% of a billion is still a lot. And my mission here is to be able to grow and expand my business and create a legacy for my family and my family's family. So I know what my intention is, but I never had to go out and ask for money. Money came to me. I'm a magnet to it. And it was because I built such a solid, intentional, mission-driven business that people wanted to be a part of and had no choice to want to be a part of because of what I built. So when we talk about the challenges of getting money, was it hard once upon a time? Absolutely. Is it hard today? I don't think so. I believe that as a Black-owned, woman-owned business, focus on the business, build the brand in such a way that people are fighting at the hem of your feet to be able to be a part of your brand. And it's possible. It doesn't cost you a whole lot of money. I still, till this day, have not paid for any paid advertising or any paid marketing in Slutty Vegan. I literally just kept my head in the books and I built my business. So if you have the grit, if you have the skill set to do it, if you have the education and the knowledge, and most importantly, the creativity, money will be attracted to you. All you got to do is open up your mindset, and we as a people get out of the space like, okay, well, nobody wants to give us money. Okay, knock down the doors, right? I'm kicking down doors when I walk through them. Once upon a time that nobody gave me the key, I make my own damn key and I'm gonna open the door and I'm gonna get exactly what I want. So for the women who are listening to this, don't get caught up in the idea that nobody wants to give you money. When you want it, go and get it. I have a saying that if I'm gonna be a bear, I'm gonna be a grizzly bear. And the reason why people want to give me money, it's not because of the products that I sell. It's because of the confidence that I have and the fact that I believe so much in myself. They want to pay for my confidence because they know that if I believe in me, then that means that I'm going to go hard on my business and I'm going to grow and take it to the next empire. So the money is there. The big companies are trying to give us the money right now. Open up your hand and take that money and grow your business.
You know what? Can I just fall out? I just want to run around. If anybody offline is doing the church shout right now, yes, come on. This is why, yes. Black women, come on. I love it. But you know what? I'm going to co-sign, not that there's any co-signatures needed. In fact, that's what we're hearing. We bootstrap. We've done what we needed to do. We all three 100% own our businesses. But I want to share this. And then we're going to go to teasing out some specific strategies. You've all, both of you have shared some, but I want to go to very clear strategies. And then I also want you to talk about your growing pains, because you know, some are watching and they're like, well, but you're where you are now. You're Slutty Vegan, you're Sassy Jones, and you're on, you made the list. So I'm going to come back around to that. But here's what I want to say in terms of you, Pinky, and what you said. So just to give some framing in terms of opportunity right now, in terms of private equity, in terms of corporate dollars, I would say my secret sauce is definitely corporate partnership, corporate sponsorship, where businesses pay me to do what it is that I do. So much so, I've signed a major deal, 2 of them in the last week. And so just for playing in this space and that space to do other things that are biz dev. So both podcast deal and both book deal with a major publisher who said, hey, we've been following you. Yes. Mm-hmm. So Pinky, so what you said, absolutely 100%. But let me back up and give some framing to this for everyone who is watching in terms of how you frame this and how you pitch this. The diversity tipping point. This is the conversation and the framing with corporate partners, potentially. The diversity tipping point is the period beginning May 29th of 2020, when all of corporate America acknowledged for the very first time, Black lives do matter. As a result, they began charitable giving, and they began doubled down and doubled back in terms of Black communities, whether it's historical institutions, whether it's partnerships. So that's what Pinky is talking about. And so we use this language, the diversity tipping point, to honor the memory of George Floyd and the fact that he was murdered, and it wasn't necessarily a situation, but he was murdered. But we frame it for corporate so that we can then negotiate our partnership and our deals and our opportunities. And so what we are saying is that there's opportunity now because the initiatives, have reprioritized Black communities, right? D&I 3.0 has reprioritized Black communities. So I won't name all of the major brands who are investing, but right now there are opportunities in probably most of the Fortune 10 and Fortune 100 have dollars, money available, partnerships available right now for you Black women who are here with us now. So I just wanted to share that. And they're looking for you, and whatever it is that you have that you're working on, whatever product, whatever service, you all are genius. We all are genius. We deliver something of value to the world. And yes, we are ideal for partnership. But now let's go to the strategies. And I will start with a strategy, and I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna close this loop. This is where the money resides right now and from where I sit. So if you're going inside corporate, there is money, specifically multicultural marketing is a budget line item, okay? Civil, there's strategic partnerships on social justice is a line item right now. Consumer engagement. So specifically, if you have a following, then you can offer up access or expanded market reach is the language. I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to circle back to you, Pinky, and you, Sassy. Can you add strategies to breaking through the $1 million revenue ceiling that exists right now?
Social responsibility is a really, really big one. Right. There definitely got to be a line item for that, because if I could tell you how many companies reach out to me for that, and about the political issues that are happening, right? We just had a big election in Atlanta. There are big companies that want to pay you for your voice and through your nonprofit. So social responsibility for me has been what's been working for Slutty Vegan and for the Pinky Co Foundation. And I really have been focusing on that because we're a socially driven movement. And to be able to continue to grow through that movement has allowed us to win in such major ways.
And so you're saying, in addition, the strategy is in the for-profit and the not-for-profit, because I heard you say the foundations. So Pinky, are you saying there's the money resides in the foundations in terms of social justice? That's another opportunity.
Yeah, and I want to be super duper clear. So a part of the reason why people know a lot about Slutty Vegan is we do a lot of community work through the foundation. So for example, we've had so many corporations partner with us. Right now, I'm getting every single Black man in Atlanta life insurance that they don't have to pay for. And I'm partnering with Prudential to do it. Right? There are big corporations and organizations that want to give you money and support you in your initiatives to be able to help grow your narrative and talk about it and help people in the community. So that's just one specific example, but it's there. So to your point, that is also a line item that non-for-profit really helps that core foundation that ties back around to that profit in the long run.
All right. And Sassy Jones, what strategies did you use to break through the first $1 million?
The first $1 million for me was community building for sure. I noticed I can give you like numbers. So February of 2019, that was our first like 6-figure month. And that was very pivotal to helping us break through that $1 million mark. And so what I decided to do was just simply create a community of VIPs. So like when you have your customers, it's not true that you treat them all the same. You want to segment them, so we had our regular customers, and then you had to spend a certain amount to get to this VIP place. And then in this VIP place, it's the land of milk and honey, that we vacation together, and all the new arrivals, they get first, and they have buy into the brand. They help make decisions, colorway, design decisions, and they also get the products first. So that sort of exclusivity is one of the biggest determining factors to the first million. Now, when you get into the millions, what I'm working on today is licensing. So we have a deal with HSN where we've perfected our craft. We have a very specific niche. The brand is solid, but now we get to sell a portion of it and just simply show up, design, and then they handle all of the financing for it. So this is available to you as well if they want the brand bad enough. And then so with us, we design the product, they manufacture, they take care of it, and then we are paid a royalty. Now this, I will continue to build, collection after category, but that's really what I'm focusing on right now, approaching larger entities like HSN, Macy's, and Nordstrom's for collaboration and partnership where it's on their dime.
Got it. And I love this licensing, and I will add, and then I'm going to come around and we want to talk about growing pains. Because I'm in a service-based business, I thought our tech solution, which was our way to scaling the company, I thought it was licensing until one of my mentors said, no, D, it's managed services. So if you are tuning in, just write down some of these methods to growing and scaling. And then certainly you're not going to get everything here today, but you can always listen to the podcast, tune in to Sisters Inc. And you can always inquire about some of the angles, some of the strategies, whether it's sponsorship, partnerships, foundation side, the charitable giving. And so I just wanted to share that because there's probably some folks here that are on the product side, they're interested, and if they're on the service side. So what about growing pains, ladies? What were some of the growing pains that you went through to get to the first million?
Oh my gosh, there were so many.
I have a few actually. So my first million was actually very easy. And it was easy because I created such a cult following. It was after I got the first million that I'm like, okay, all right, what's going on? Because what I had to realize is it is not easy to scale culture. Like there is no blueprint to scale culture. And culture is how the customer feels when they walk through the door, right? The experience, the slutty vegan experience, which is very unique. We laugh at you, laugh with you. We play music. We give you this ultimate Hershey Park Adventure World amusement park experience. And you got to scale that. So if you can't scale that, then you can't scale Slutty Vegan. So I think my challenge, and it's still a current challenge now, is figuring out a way to put processes behind culture. We talk a lot about culture, but imagine really having to put culture on paper. How do you do that? Right. So we're doing something that has never really been done before in the restaurant space. So for the people who are growing a business and specifically have to worry about scaling that culture and experience, you got to make sure that it's the same every single location that you go to. But once you get it down pat, which we're working on, it's the most beautiful thing. And then the money will continue to roll in because people love consistency, right? People love having a consistent experience every single time. One of the things for Slutty Vegan is I've made such a big emphasis on customer service that if anybody gets anything less than that, then it's below standard. So you have to keep up that experience every single time. And now I'm about to open up about 10 to 15 locations and I have to duplicate that. But the first million, again, I didn't know what I was doing with the first million and I made it really, really fast. I made my first million in about 3.5 months of opening Slutty Vegan. And I didn't even realize it was a million until I looked up like, hey, what happened? And that part was easy. But now when you really start putting systems and structure in place and now start to scale, it's just like, okay, now I got to pay attention to this because in order for my company to grow, I have to begin to put true processes in place, streamline the operation and making sure it's consistent all across the board.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I'm going to tell you, if you are just starting out, and I agree, that first million is like, because your head is down, right? You're just doing the work, you're in it. And then you look up, you're like, okay, this is wonderful. For me, it was letting go and trusting. And it still is today, right? And so those of you out there who are trying to scale the business, you got to understand that it's not going to just be you, right? You're going to have a team, a supreme team, right? Surrounding yourself with people who are much, much, much smarter than you, right? And who are experts in their industry, and respecting that. That's the only way that you're going to find yourself multiplying, especially when you get into the millions. You're going to have processes in place, but it's going to require sort of trusting and letting go. I'm going to say the other thing too is if the founder isn't right, the organization isn't right, right? And so the organization is a direct reflection of how we are doing, whether we're centered, grounded, all of the things. I can remember distinctly a year where we sort of like floundered, and it was because the founder wasn't grounded, right? And so our companies are direct reflections of how we take care of ourselves. So that is super, super important, because in order for if you want it to last, you have to last until a certain point till you can scale it beyond yourself. So those are my key takeaways and definitely my biggest growing pains.
Can I add one more thing? This is really important, and I think people will be able to resonate with this. In the very beginning, I only knew how to work in the business. And because I only knew how to work in the business, I couldn't work on the business. And that's very, very distinct. It's a difference, right? I was working in a restaurant, flipping burgers and fries and shaking fries and like talking to customers and like in the trenches. And I didn't have an opportunity to be able to grow the business. But I had to learn the hard way that in order for me to grow this business, I had to step outside of the physical piece of it and look at the business from an aerial point of view. And as soon as I did that, that's when I realized that the business could ultimately grow. So for the new founders, startup companies, yes, in the beginning, you're going to have to be in your business, right? You got to put the foundation together. But once you come to a place where you have your foundation, start to delegate to the right people who are talented and even smarter than you to be able to put them in place and make them your soldiers so that you can work on the business so that the business can continue to grow. I think that that's very important that a lot of people do not talk about.
Let it go, let it grow.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. I'm so glad you shared that piece about working on versus in. And our time has actually come to an end. I think we're less than a minute to close the session. But here's the good, great, and wonderful thing is, there's more to come for Sisters Inc. Summit. There's additional sessions. And then you can, for everybody who's plugged in right now, you can hear more from on the podcast, both Sassy Jones, Charis is interviewed, as well as Pinky on the podcast. And you can also follow these women. But I will echo working on the business versus in the business. In fact, there's a very well-known model, and we call it McDonald's your business. That is Ray Kroc, right? The original McDonald's guy, most know. He did not work in a McDonald's. Guess what? His office was down the block. And that tells you that the way that Ray Kroc grew McDonald's and the way that it has become one of the world's biggest brands and known brands is because he never worked in the business. He worked on the business. There's an awesome book. There's a lot of amazing books, but one that talks about this is the E-Myth Revisited. It's, it helps small businesses not fail. And so I would just share that. And then there's a last stat about how to grow your business. If you want to grow your business, you have to increase and grow yourself by 60%. And so I know this is all a lot, and we could probably go on, and we could be here forever talking about, business and just lessons learned and how to get to the next level. But we are out of time today. And so we have been here with the amazing Pinky Cole. And her name is not Sassy Jones, but we're going to call her Sassy because that's branding, baby. Listen,
okay.
She's speaking sassy all the way to the bank.
Yes.
And so Sassy Jones. And so that is our time today. Stay tuned for the next session. My name is DC Marshall, Diverse and Engage. And you know what, ladies, tell them where to find you real quick. Your website.
You can find me on all social media handles, Slutty Vegan ATL. My personal is Pinky907. Go to our website, www.sluttyveganatl.com. And if you want to be a part of all the great things we have going on in the foundation, www.pinkygivesback.com.
ShopSassyJones.com. On the web, you can find us everywhere at Shop Sassy Jones, Instagram, Facebook, and also check me out personally at Charis N. Jones.
Bye, everybody. Hashtag
Bye.
Inc.